Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with seasoned business executive, founder, and CEO, John Geraci. He has extensive leadership experience and believes that the world of work is changing fast, and people who complement their AI prowess with these soft skills will be the most successful. Their research uncovered 3 breakthrough ideas about the power of the subconscious brain. Understanding and learning to apply these concepts will dramatically improve your performance. He formed his company to build a system to make it easy to harness this power. We get into all of the nuts and bolts. Enjoy this remarkable story.
I'm good to go.
Excellent. John, it's wonderful to meet you, sir. Thank you so much for taking a minute out.
Love it, Joe.
Me too. So before we get into your good work, I want to know this. 5 years ago, the pandemic really rearranged our lives in very specific ways. How did you get through that time period, and how has it affected the way that you do things now?
Well, it was a big shock to us. We are a training and coaching company, and most of what we did at the time was face-to-face. And when they shut down the world, we had, we usually have 5 to 10 in-process customers per year, and all of them shut down. So all of my revenue went away, and we had to morph to doing totally virtual training. And what it's done for us, the negative was it was a pretty tough period. What it's done for us, it's have us realizing we're continuing to improve, is that the biggest constraint in our business is time. And so we're moving to an AI-oriented micro-learning platform where it's on demand. But the negative was it really was a shock. And the positive has us thinking about really what's really important to our customers, and how do they consume and learn, and how do we do it differently. So there's been some really good upside out of it.
So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds at career day. The kid in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer him?
Yeah. We help people learn how to communicate more effectively with others, to help other people take action with them.
Okay.
So if you're a 12-year-old and you are you're the captain of your team, or you're the head of the safety patrol, how do you get other people to come along with you and do what they need to do and do the right thing? So it's teaching people how to communicate in a way that inspires other people, not telling them what to do.
So what did you want to be at 12 years old? What was your dream job?
Well, when I was 12 years old, I wanted to be a shortstop for the New York Yankees.
Okay. I love it. I love it. So did you play baseball?
Played baseball, played shortstop and third base.
Okay. Very cool. So how far did you go?
I played in high school, and found out that I really wasn't the caliber that could go and play in college. And so my dreams changed.
Yeah, it's hard. So let me ask you this. How did these elements of being a leader, of being a business owner, of how did this happen? Take me back to your childhood. What were the foundational elements that evolved into who you are today?
Yeah, well, I'm from a military family, and my father is a highly decorated veteran of 3 wars: World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And in 1967, I don't know if you've ever heard of Band of Brothers or the Currahee Unit.
Yeah.
But it's famous on TV. They were deactivated after World War II, very famous unit in World War II. And they were reactivated in 1967 as a reinforced battalion to go to Vietnam. And my dad was a battalion commander. And I was about 15, 16, so very formative years, and saw him form this battalion. It was supposedly a unit that was going to go have an airborne jump in Vietnam, which was unique. Saw him recruit, hire, train. So subsequent to that, I went to West Point, spent 6 years in the military, and tell people ask me what's the most important thing you learned at West Point. The first 2 years at West Point, they teach you how to be a follower.
Yeah.
And I think once you learn how to be a good follower, it really helps your leadership.
Interesting.
And then I got out of the military, went into the software industry, and I had a career where I became the president of two public companies, four companies, two public companies. So it's been a journey of learning about myself and leading people, and so that's if you take that trajectory all the way through.
Yeah. So who has been kind of an inspiration? Who's been that heroic force for you to get to where you're at today?
Well, my dad was a pretty powerful, inspiring guy. Um, he in about maybe 10 or 15 years ago, he passed in 96, but he was inducted into the Ranger Hall of Fame, and it was at Fort Benning, Georgia. I went down and got that. But the military guy who I really studied and I liked a lot was George Marshall. And the reason is, if you know about General Marshall, obviously he's a four-star general, he's Secretary of State for Eisenhower, et cetera, had the Marshall Plan in Europe. But one thing most people don't know about, he had a little black book of leaders. And during World War II, almost all of the 3 and 4-star generals were handpicked by Marshall and put into the right spots to help us win the war. And during the D-Day invasion, he wanted to go be the commander, and FDR didn't want him to. And he was a humble guy. He subverted his ego, and he put Eisenhower in. So the guy's just he was a behind the scenes humble leader who was always looking to put people in the right spot and understand them and help other people succeed.
Wow. So if you can meet anybody today along those lines, maybe an entrepreneur, a business leader that you would like to ask some questions to and hang out with a little bit, is there somebody you would like to meet?
Yeah, I'd like to meet the Dalai Lama.
Okay. That'd be cool. I just listened to a bunch of interviews between the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, and it was fascinating. Just absolutely fascinating. The conversations and the way his brain works. I mean, just the way he hums at a different energy level is amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So let me ask you this. When did you know that you were going to be a business leader? What was the moment? What was the year? What was the time that you knew this was going to be your life?
Well, it wasn't early. A lot of people. I was entrepreneurial as a kid, so I knew I had. I started. I worked in a lot of places, and I actually started a lawn mowing business. Which the interesting part about it was, one year I decided I was going to bunch of people mowed lawns. I was going to go around the neighborhood and try to get all of the people to commit for me to mow their lawn, and then I could hire my friends who would have to do the mowing, and I'd take a cut. So I've always had some that gene, but I always thought I was going to be in the military. And somewhere I went to West Point. We were post Vietnam kids, and so we went to West Point during Vietnam, but we didn't go to Vietnam. And it was very, very, very slow paced. And so somewhere in there, I decided to get out and go try to have a career. And I went to a lot of junior military officers go to one job, which is their first kind of get started. Then I went to a company. In the second company I went to is a company called Management Science America in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was just the go-go days of, now it's even hotter, but go-go days of software. This was a really, really cool company, really, really smart people. And the founder was John Imlay, was an amazing, amazing leader. And but all of the leaders, subsequent leaders around me, the guys and it's interesting. I went when I took the job, and I went to resign from the company I was with. And the regional manager said to me, John, why would you leave? You're the number one rep here. Why would you leave here to go there? And he said, here, I told him, I said, here, I think I may be, not to be arrogant, the best guy there is now. And over there, I'm the worst guy. And I want to go learn from people who are smarter and better than me. And it was there at MSA that I really fell in love with business and leading people in a business context. And that I had a 15-year run there, and I started as a sales rep, and I left as a division president. So I took all the roles, and but it was really there. I think it was at MSA that I started falling in love with business. We sold accounting software, so when you went to your customers, you had to understand how do they make money. So it was an interesting kind of experience.
So what gets you up every day? What is the ultimate motivator for you to get up to do this work? And do you try to find a balance between family and business? How does that work for you?
Yeah, well, what really gets me up is what I started this company about 10 years ago, and it's the first time I've ever started a company. So there's a lot of lessons learned as an entrepreneur versus a corporate executive in a company. Um, it's really hard to explain to somebody who doesn't own their own business, but when you're putting your own money in it, it's similar but completely different. But what gets me up in the morning is I think what we do. I believe that when companies succeed, when people succeed, you have to have a vision of where you want to go. You asked me, when did you want to be a business leader or whatever? You have to have a vision, but you have to have people with you. You have to have people coming along with you. And I believe that strong human connections and inspiring communications are a critical part of the human experience and the human part of success. And I think what we do is fairly unique and fairly different. It's similar in many ways, but there's a lot of uniqueness to it. And I see people who either take our programs, use our AI tool, who really get excited and change how they interact with people and how they start communicating. And so it's just, I think of the starfish story, right? I made a difference for that one. And so I think of what I think about when I get up and excited, what are we doing? What are we doing this week? And who can we help become a more inspiring communicator and a person who more deeply connects with people in their network that are critical to get things done.
So let me ask you this. Being in the world of business, things can be serious. There's a lot that you're doing to help people. But if you were to walk into a room of all your clients and colleagues throughout the years, and you could go to a podium in front of that room and tell them a fun story, the first concert you went to, one of the coolest places you visited, something they just wouldn't expect, a skill you have, what would be a fun story you would tell that room of people?
Oh, um, boy, oh boy, there's so many. What jumps out if I would tell those people? I think I would tell them a story of being in a jump accident in Panama.
Okay.
And I was a jump master, and I was in a jump accident and could have died. I didn't, but and what it taught me about preparation, about people, about not making assumptions.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we have to learn it the hard way.
We teach something, Joe, called lessons learned stories.
Yeah.
And if salespeople call them objection handling, services call them escalation points, just areas where, but what we teach people is our idea is instead of you make a mistake and I tell you what to do, I don't do that. I tell you a story about when I made a similar mistake and what I learned from it. And either you get it or you don't get it.
Yeah.
And one of our core themes, part of our I told you that you started out with the world of work is changing, and that's what's got us thinking that, in this crazy world of work, of fast-paced communications and COVID and blah, 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 and multiple generations in the workforce, people are more disconnected than ever. And we tend, because we don't have time to try to tell people what to do. And all of our constructs, our models, our framework comes from the intersection of neuroscience and behavioral economics. How does the brain think? And how do people make decisions? And we learn three things. We call them breakthrough ideas about the brain, subconscious brain. And one of those is nobody likes to be told what to do. So as a leader or as a dad or as a friend or whatever, you tell me what to do and people don't do it.
Yeah.
And so what we teach is how do you inspire people? Instead of telling people what to do, you've got to deeply understand them and where they want to go. And you've got to have an inspiring story to help them try to get there. So if your kid liked baseball, my dad took me to the Yankees, and I saw, forget the guy's name now, but Joe DiMaggio, not Joe DiMaggio. The guy was the shorts. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But now you're inspired by watching somebody, not my dad telling me, hey, go be a baseball player.
Yeah.
And so, it's a lessons learned story about screwing up as a jump master and almost dying.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you this. Let me flip to something else. Of all of the things that you've done and evolved to in your life at this point, what are you the proudest of?
I'm the proudest of my family. I've been lucky. I married the love of my life, and we've been married 51 years. And I have 5 fabulous children who have spouses and kids, and we're all close and see each other a lot. The second thing I'm most proud of is promoting people. I think I'm a pretty good analysis of people, so recruiter, hirer. But what I really love to do is try to help people see how can they break through and be better than I can give you the names of 5 people who and this is just I give these example who went on to be presidents of billion-dollar companies. And I think I hired him as a sales rep. This person is one, and they went on to. So I like to see where oftentimes we don't recognize our own talents.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're too timid. And if you have a mentor who helps you and cares about you and helps you see what you can do and sometimes pushes you a little bit. So I really, when I think back on my career, it's not money, it's not prestige, not what I did or didn't. It's all about all the people that really achieve. That goes back to Marshall. What did Marshall? And that's why I liked him. I think back on those people who got ahead or made more money or succeeded or did this with their family. That's what really turns me on.
So at the end of the day, John, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that works for you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I morphed over the years. I think I was I grew up like most of us, I had a difficult childhood, and that my dad was in Vietnam, 4 out of my, 13 to 17, 4 of those years, 13 to 18. And in that, my mom passed away of a heart attack. We had 5 kids. She was an alcoholic. Anyway, so, but I always thought that what I really wanted to do was I defined success as a worldly view of success, which is money and getting ahead. And what I've shifted to now is what I think more success is about is helping other people and serving and being humble.
Yeah.
And so, I've had an interesting journey along the way. And I've been fairly successful. I'm financially independent, blah, blah. I'm not Elon Musk or Bill Gates or anybody like that. But I think as I get older, I think humility and serving people is there's more. I get more inner calm from that and excitement from that than trying to achieve. So I don't know. I hope, just one other quick comment is, we teach really three models that are easy to. One is called a dynamic relationship model, and underneath that is storytelling and transformational listening. And one of the things I think that I've always been a good storyteller and always been kind of an enthusiastic person, upbeat, that kind of thing. I've been a terrible listener. And what I've done in the last 10 years is really transformed how I listen to people and what I listen for and how I can coach them to tell their story. And it's just changed completely how I interact with people. It's just, I think I've gone from wanting to be, a multimillionaire, big important guy to say, no, I want to serve other people and be more humble.
I dig it. So if anyone wants to reach out, they're curious, they have questions, any of the good business, where do they go?
You can go to www.ci2advisors.com to our website, and there's a link on there, or you can email me at jgeraci, Geraci, at ci2advisors.com.
Okay. Excellent. John, I'm going to put all this in the show notes. What a delight. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your story. Best of luck with everything.
Hey, thank you, Joe. It's great being with you, my friend.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. Our esteemed theme music was composed and produced by the great E.E. Pointer of Kansas City's River Cow Orchestra. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time. Looking to get new clients to your business through cold calling or email marketing? At Agency-wide, they envision a world in which small and big companies have equal chances to win new customers in the market. Their purpose is to bring parity and reduce the gap between large and small firms with the help of their cold calling and cold email marketing services. Use the code JoeDimino10 at www.agencyyy.org/coldcallingjoe.php or www.agencyyy.org/emailmarketingjoe.php to get 10% off your first order. This is Joe Dimino of Neon Jazz and Famous Interviews, and I stand behind Agency Y to meet your business dreams.